Oh, where's my phone? Here she comes with some cinder. He named my 12. Okay, Stabby. Who's that sitting by themselves in the back? The government.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everybody who's joining us here in person, and Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to all those joining us via our live stream. We'll begin on page 2 and invite Judy forward to light our Shabbat candles.
Last week I couldn't get this.
We push forward. Up. No, don't squeeze yet. Push this forward. And then there you go. Oh, there we go.
Right, thank you, Rudy. Okay,
Lick your back, come on, lick it.
I haven't smoked in a long time.
I was gonna say,
I
college
just
was a
always
long time
carry
ago.
one, I always do.
Thank you.
It's just something I do. Something I do.
Do you want me to read this too?
One of these,
Okay.
and yeah.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who may behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own days be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvah tov, v'tzivanu l'chad l'kner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
We turn together to page 10 as we join in Hine Matov. How wonderful, how good it is to be together.
Hine matovu manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matov, Shabbat achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad.
And together we turn to page 20 as we join and welcome our Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi.
And we will be doing verses 1, 3 and 9.
1, 2.
2 and 9, 1, 2 and 9.
Yeah.
Lecha lecha dodi, lekrat kala, Penei penei
Shabbat nekabela.
lecha lecha
Adodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Shemor v'zachor
b'dibo
echad.
Ishni anu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
L'shem tifaret
V'niti la 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 la.
lecha dodi, lekrat kala.
Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Ligrat Shabbat
Benecha. Hi nekor Tov ma'aseh b'machshava tefillah la 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 lekadodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela.
Boi b'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzala, tochem yam segula, boi kala, la 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 lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei
Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated as we continue page 24. Shalom Aleichem, prayers and blessings of peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashavim, Malachei Elyon, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn together to page 26 as we rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadal shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'yamad yivrach hirutei b'yamlich malchutei. B'cham hayechon u'b'yomechon u'chayei deko beit Yisrael. Bagala, ubizman gariv, bimaru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mebora, le'olam alom me'almaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, V'talal Shemeda Kudisha Brifu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata Le'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiram B'yalma V'maru Amen.
On page 28, we'll join in Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam.
Please be seated. And on page 30, we join together in Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim. B'chokhmah poteach sha'arim. Uvitbuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim. Umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem b'rakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla. Adonai tziva'ot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu v'shachmenu, U'kumeinu nasi akbefukecha, V'nismach v'nivren toratecha, U'mitzvotecha le'olam v'yeh. Ihem kayenu, V'yorech yameinu, Yom Amalai, Yom Amalai, V'yahar al Tasir, V'menu le'olami, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We rise together for Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Eloheinu Le'olam.
Please be seated as we continue with the Ahafta, page 36.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanta
levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lachtecha b'derech u'shofbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam me'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinecha u'chtabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני
Adonai Elohim.
Adonai Elohim.
Amen.
Let's join together in the middle of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai,
Mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei feler, nora tehilot osei feler.
Malachutecha, Ra'u
Vanecha
Bokeh Ayam, Lifnei Moshe, Ze'elianu
ve'am.
Adonai Yimloch, Adonai Yimloch, Le'olam Vayed.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Sorry.
Hashkiveinu
Adonai,
Eloheinu l'shalom,
V'hamidenu shomrei l'chaim. Hashkiveinu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'hamidenu shomrei l'chaim.
We turn together to page 44 as we thank God for the blessing of the opportunity we have for Shabbat with Vishamru, the idea that we guard Shabbat, that we actively engage in it. And if we don't do it, it doesn't really exist. So it's up to us to do that work, to guard it and protect it and do it.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat U'lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam B'rit Olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat U'lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam B'rit Olam. B'nei Yisrael, Oti le'olam, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, U'lasot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam B'rit Olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat. Et hashabat ledorotam b'rit olam. Uvayom shvi Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash, Shabbat vayinapash, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat U'lasot et HaShabbat Ledorotam B'rit Olam.
We turn together to page 46 as we rise for Amidah. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. There's no microphone, so we can't hear you.
Sorry. Please turn to page 46 for the tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftak ufia gita hila tefa. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare
Your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanorah El Yom Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vegonei Hakol Vezocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Abraham Ezra Sarah Ataki Bor Le'elam Adonai Michoyea Kolata Brav Leoshia Mashiv Haruah Umorid Hagashem Michal Kel Chaim Bechesed Michaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Kayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memi to Mechaye Umat Miach Yeshua B'ne'eman atal hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukedoshim b'chol yom Yehalalucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Page 53. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 55. Let's join together at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha lecha na'eh lehodot. Let's join together, top of page 61, our prayer for peace. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart.
Praise to you.
You who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai Osei HaShalom.
And we take a few moments for those personal prayers, those silent thoughts, those moments of silent prayer.
Where are we at? What page? Sorry. Thank you, sorry. Oh, say shalom, b'morav, huya, say shalom, aleinu, ve'akol, Yisrael, ve'imaru, amen. Oh, say shalom, b'morav, huya, say shalom, aleinu, Ve'akol, ve'akol, Yisrael, v'imaru, amen.
We turn together to page 253, and there we find our blessing of healing. And we send those blessings of healing to all those who need, all those who continue to struggle with COVID-19, those who struggle with illness and ailment of kind or variety. And healing can come in so many different ways. Healing of body, healing of heart and mind and soul. And in our congregation, we especially mention Pat Hanna, Doug Ford, Steve Toddleben, Merv Weinman, Diane Levy, Joan Rosenthal, John Gayampa, Scott Gordon, Sarah Parton, Connie Mattis, Bob Breakstone, Frank Fusaro, Renee Goldman, Phil DiFrancesco, Jay Kaler, Debbie Perry, Amy Doherty, Dick Metcalf, Sharon Johns, Shelley Schloss, Diane Kaler, Pat Scutella, Bernice Fox, Daniel Mason, Julie Matthews, Dane Marcinowski, Maggie Lee, Noyak Grinberg, Robert Wozniak, Pam Waters, Corlin Moray, Mark Mattis, Tammy Reynolds, Sydney Scramenti, Andy Green, and Cheryl Marcinowski. If you are joining us via live stream and you would like to add a name to our list, please add it into our chat. If you are here in person and would like to add a name, please do so.
James.
Linda Kutsaros and Thomas Kostinas.
You join together in our blessing for healing.
Misheberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Laimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Nikor HaBracha Liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Yasher Koach. Thank you, Edie. Shabbat Shalom. So this week we are reading Parshat Lech Lecha, which is this fabulous story of Abraham being told by God to get going. In fact, God says, Lech Lecha, get going, using the same words, Me'artzecha, Mimuladetecha, U'Beit Avicha, these three classifications of where you need to leave. You need to leave your land, the place of your birth, the house of your parents. And the rabbis are struggling with, why do you need all three? Well, what's the purpose of Abraham's, or Avram at this point? His name hasn't yet been changed, so it's still Avram and Sarai. But what's the purpose of him and Sarah being told to get going? Why do they need to leave? Well, the rabbis come up with a great story. They have the story of Abraham and the idols. Perfect. Abraham and the idols. And as the story goes, Abraham is working with his father. His father Terach is the local idol maker. And Terach needs to go on a business trip and puts Avram in charge of the store and says, make sure nothing happens. I'll be back in a couple days. And Avram really doesn't buy into the whole idol thing. And so he is sort of there. And kind of looking at one of the smaller idols and sort of tests the water and takes a kind of stick and knocks it over. It smashes, and you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. So Avram says, okay, goes to the next sized idol, does the same thing. It smashes to bits, nothing happens. This continues until all of the idols in the shop are destroyed, save the largest one. Now, I grew up as an only child. So for me, if something broke in the house, I had no siblings to blame it on. So Avram has a similar problem because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't want to get in trouble when his father arrives, and he'll get blamed for the destruction of all these idols. So what does he do? He takes the stick and puts it into the hand of the largest idol. Dad comes home, looks at the disaster around and says, what is this? What's going on? And Avram said, his fault. I didn't do it. Or what was famous for my children, the line was, you can't blame me. And my response was always, why not? But anyway, so Terach says to Avram, this is ridiculous, don't be silly. These idols can't really do anything. I made them. And Avram then challenges him and says, well, if you just made them and they can't do anything, what do they really mean? And so that's actually why Avram needs to get going to this other land, this other strange place, to this land that God is going to show Avram and Sarai. And there, Avram will create with Sarai this great nation, this Goy Gadol, this great nation. And God will bless the name, and they will be a blessing. Making a journey is always complicated. Corlin and I just got back from Ireland. Well, Ireland is not exactly, foreign, or we all speak the same language, sort of. It still is, it's an adventure. It's something it's a new culture, it's a new tradition. Ireland is a complicated place. I want to share a little bit about it. First of all, we had the opportunity to see many sites in Dublin, one of which was this very famous collection, the library at the university, which also holds what is Ireland's sort of treasured book called the Book of Kells, which is a manuscript, a handwritten manuscript from about 1,000 years ago or so of the Gospels, Christian Bible. So not knowing really what to expect, we have to buy tickets, we have to stand in line, we go through these whole long displays. And finally, we get to the actual book. It's a book. And while not to take away from the sanctity of that text for the community, in my mind, I live in a world of Jewish text that nothing significant has been written in the last 1,000 years. Right? No sacred Jewish text has been written for the last almost 2,500 years. Right? And so it was just an interesting reflection. So then we went to the Jewish Museum. And by the way, the guy at the Jewish Museum is very proud to say that the Jewish Museum is the 10th most popular thing to do in Dublin, according to TripAdvisor. I'm not sure what that says about the Jewish Museum or Dublin, but there you are. But it was lovely to experience. And one of the Jewish Museum is housed in what was one of the 9 synagogues in Dublin. Now there are 2 left. There's an Orthodox and a Reform. Although the Orthodox synagogue is very much more what we would consider to be a kind of conservative sort of Orthodox rabbi, but conservative folk, if you get my, yeah. So the lovely gentleman who showed us around and told us a lot of the history of the community and the way in which the Jewish community in Dublin has always been very active in the life of the community. There were actually two mayors of Dublin who were Jewish, father and son, actually, which is an amazing thing. Dublin has created very important Jewish figures in the world. Chaim Weizmann was from there. Both the Weizmann family being the first president of Israel and the current president of Israel. So a very, an important family for sure, has their roots in Ireland and in Dublin specifically. And as we were there, he opened the Ark, and in the Ark were these beautiful, beautiful Torah scrolls that were probably 500 or 600 years old. Really, really old Torah scrolls. And I keep reflecting on that versus the Book of Kells and the amazing, at 5 or 6 of these books, sort of just sitting in the Ark. And the tragedy actually of that place was there was so much stuff. He says there's so much stuff, we don't know what to do with it all. And literally you can't move there. There's so much stuff. Because what happened was you had 9 synagogues, and as one synagogue closed, they gave all their stuff to another synagogue. And when that synagogue closed, they gave their stuff plus the other stuff they got from the first synagogue to the third synagogue. And when the third synagogue closed, they gave everything to the, so it ended up that what was left has, 9 copies of everything or more. And so it was kind of a sobering thought in terms of the way in which the Jewish community has kind of evolved, at least there. But what's interesting is, in many ways, they were a sort of casualty of their own success. They were able to really fully integrate. While, you think of the religious differences in Ireland as being very important and specific, and you have the tensions and the conflicts between the Catholics and the Protestants and all that, yet it's the Jewish community that can, find ways to completely integrate into culture and society, which was brilliant. The tensions are palpable in the country. The tensions aren't talked about as much as Catholic and Protestant as sort of nationalist and loyalist. Those who wish Ireland to remain part of, or at least the northern part, to remain part of the Commonwealth and part of the UK, and those who wish to have a united Ireland altogether, having one republic. And of course, there are, we have decades and decades, almost over 100 years actually, of conflict that go into this. And then we went up to Belfast, and Belfast is a completely different city. Belfast is a city that has seen enormous conflict. It was interesting in that our guide that was taking us around on one of the sort of a tour of the political situation said to us, during the Troubles, most of the Jews left. Which is exactly what we do, right? When things get difficult and threatening, we tend to pack up, right? We did that in Eastern Europe when we were threatened. We did that in Germany, if we could, during the Shoah. There are many times where we have had to pack ourselves up and move somewhere else. And then he showed us two murals. Very interesting. It seems that the Catholic community or the Republicans or the nationalists really have kind of connected to the Palestinians and their cause. And it seems that the loyalists and the people who want to stay in the UK have kind of connected to Israel. So you have this wall, it's called the Peace Wall. And on the wall, on one side of the wall, you have a free pro-Palestinian mural. And around the corner, you have a pro-Israel mural. And it's interesting that, you know, that people have sort of taken sides, right? And in ways that one wouldn't expect, right? One wouldn't expect there to be the pro-Commonwealth or pro-British folks to be pro-Israel, right? Given you know the history of the mandate, the British mandate over the land of Israel between the wars from 17 to 48. Right? But there was this very palpable tension that exists in a city that is very much divided still by walls and screens and gates that close in the evening to separate communities and the like. And in some ways it's quite tragic and sad because it's a community that is divided and is working their way slowly. Remember, they've been sort of working together since what they call the Good Friday Accords in 97, I think it was, something like that. So about 25 years. And now they've been hit with a new set of issues and crises, right? Because they have, on the one side, we have the UK that has left the EU. And the EU says, well, if you have a land border with another country that is not part of the EU, you have to have a protected border. You can't just have an open border. But the Good Friday Accords have stated that you can't have a border within Ireland itself. So this is a huge conflict for them. How do they do this? And so they're trying to work through some of that. And there were a series of riots and such when this was all sort of taking place. When Avram and Sarai leave, they leave to become and fulfill who they should really be. And in so many ways, that's a challenge for everybody, in every culture and every community. It's to really fulfill who you're going to be. We certainly do this as Reformed Jews. Right? We leave behind the things that we are comfortable with or that we might know about or that were done by our ancestors, and we create something new. We're certainly comfortable and we do that a lot over the last couple of years, certainly with COVID. We've created all sorts of different new things. But in that creation, that sense of reforming, reshaping, recreating what it means to be Jewish, we are fulfilling that same command that God gave to Avram and Sarai. The command that said, get out, go create yourself. Sort of like launching your children. Go, move out of my basement. And each of us has those Avram and Sarai moments. Those moments where we have to leave what's comfortable and go and be a blessing somewhere else. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to continue with Aleinu, page 282. Please rise.
Here we go.
Excuse me.
Leinu l'shabeach le'adon hakol la'teit gedula liotzer bereshit shelo asanu kiko yeha ratzot velo samanu kamesh mechot adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem begoralenu kechol amonam Va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. On page 284. Shehu notei shamayim v'yoset haaretz u'moshe b'yakaro b'shamayim yima'al Ushki natuzo, begohe meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efesulato, kakatu betorato, v'yadata hayom v'hashkevo te elevavecha. Ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imal v'yal haaretz mitachat ein od v'nemar v'haya Adonai lamelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We're in the period of Shloshim for Amanda, Rachel, Pinsky, Thomas, and we observe Yahrzeit on this Shabbat for Alfred Silberman, David Einhorn, Emma Voss, Sarah Levy, Jacob Roberts, Joseph Pesson, Sarah Baer, Regina Weizenkorn, Robert Friedberg, Willa Jane Urich, Mina Eisenberg, Louis Goldman, Becky Ehrlich Obernauer, Milton L. Tenenbaum, I. Jerry Cohen, Ludwig Sender, Max Jacobs, Milton Nadworny. We also mentioned the untimely Yahrzeit of Yitzhak Rabin, who was tragically assassinated as Israel's prime minister. If anybody who is joining us on our live stream would like to add a name, please add it into our chat. If anybody would like to add a name who is here in person, please do so. So we rise together as we turn to page 294. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Alma divrach rutev yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. B'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'elam u'lamet amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yamav v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav. Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome Julie Cohen forward to share some announcements.
So I know sometimes we talk a little bit about somebody's on the yard site list. So I'm just going to take a minute. It's my grandfather's yard site, my dad's father, Jerry Cohen. And the one thing that I remember about him is that for a while he was a truant officer for the Erie School District. And when he would chase the kids and catch them, instead of hollering at them for not being in school, he would holler at them for letting an old man catch up to them. And he would make them go down to the Y to start to work out so that they would be fitter. And in later years, when he and my grandmother used to travel, people would come up to him and say, "Aren't you Jerry Cohen? You used to chase after me." So people remembered him for a very long time. So first of all, Rabbi and Corlin, welcome back. And Edie, thank you so much for the beautiful music tonight. Services this week are in memory of Jacob Roberts. Services tomorrow at 10 o'clock on YouTube and tour study at 11 a.m. on Zoom. And next week will be a very special Shabbat, special Veterans Day Shabbat, and the first TGS since 2020. Your dinner reservations were due on Friday, were due today. So I hope you all got them in if you wanted to come. And thank you to the Special Events Committee for sponsoring this. And as a public service announcement, don't forget Saturday night, Sunday morning, change your clocks back 1 hour. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
That's right.
We're going to conclude this evening on page 330, Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Excellent.
Okay, go.
Ki Yeshmera Shabbat
El
Yishmer
Yishmereini.
Ki Yeshmera
Shabbat El Yishmereini. O Tireo Meyat Beino Ubeini. O Tireo Meyat Beino Ubeini. Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'bratzon nimchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mivra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki v'anu b'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol V'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
Chaim.
Fine.
Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai
Elohim
melech haolam.
Motzi
Lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Yasher koach,
Thank
Edie.
you. Thank you.
Come take some challah.